Folks, welcome to a special episode focused on the Golden State Warriors, where we're diving deep into the free agency situation this offseason. Today, we got a tag team style discussion featuring me and Arthur, and a big shout out to Maritime for requesting this episode. We've had episodes with Randy, episodes with Arthur separately, but this time we're combining forces to talk Warriors basketball and, specifically, who the Warriors should be targeting in free agency. This topic is especially interesting because Arthur brings a very sensible, level-headed perspective, particularly around the salary cap and financial realities, while I tend to sometimes throw out ideas that might be a bit more pie in the sky. I think this dynamic works perfectly for this conversation because it allows us to explore the dream scenarios alongside what's realistically feasible under the current NBA rules and Warriors salary situation. First things first, let's start by identifying who the Warriors are actually losing this offseason so everyone can be aware of the roster holes we need to fill. Understanding who's leaving is crucial before diving into who might be available to join the team. Then we'll move on to the available players on the market and talk through who fits the Warriors' needs and what's realistic given the salary cap and roster construction. We all know the Warriors would love to bring in a superstar like LeBron James or Kevin Durant, but we're being realistic here. Those are just not going to happen. The salary cap and roster constraints just don't line up for those kinds of moves, so we're focusing on players the Warriors can realistically sign or trade for. I've seen plenty of fans throwing out ideas like trading for Kevin Durant or swapping players for all-stars, but the cap math doesn't work for those proposals, and that's why Arthur's perspective on the cap and contracts is invaluable. It's a tough financial puzzle, and the Warriors aren't necessarily in a dire situation, but they're definitely limited, which has made all of us amateur capologists trying to figure out how they can get some flexibility. Looking at the current Warriors free agents, here's the rundown. Braxton Key, Kevin Knox II, Jonathan Kaminga, Kevin Looney, Gary Payton II, Quinton Post, Gulston Santos, Pat Spencer, and Taron Armstrong. Out of these names, who do we realistically think might be leaving? Arthur, what's your take? I think the most likely departure is Kevin Looney, which is going to be tough for a lot of Warriors fans. Looney has been a key part of the team for years and has made a ton of memorable plays, but at his last salary, which was around $9 million, it's hard to justify bringing him back at that price given his limitations, especially on offense. For the playoffs, he's shown that his impact can be limited due to his skill set and athleticism. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Warriors let him walk or negotiate a much smaller deal. He's just not providing the kind of two-way presence the team needs to compete at the highest level anymore. Gary Payton II is another interesting case. After that amazing video I saw recently, I hope the Warriors can find a way to keep him, maybe on a more affordable deal around $4 to $5 million. Otherwise, the money might be better spent elsewhere. He's a great defender and energy guy, but can be a bit inconsistent, and the Warriors need consistent production, especially with how tight the cap is. Kevin Knox and Braxton Key are both players with potential, but they haven't shown enough consistency to guarantee a roster spot. Knox has talent, but hasn't really found his footing, and Key's defense is solid, but his offensive game is underdeveloped, which was painfully evident during the Houston series where he missed several open layups in a row. It's unfortunate because he could have been a cheap, useful rotation player, but he needs to develop more. So, who's the top free agent that the Warriors must prioritize bringing back? For me, it has to be Jonathan Kaminga. He represents the future as much as the present. Kaminga isn't just a short-term stopgap. If the Warriors bring him back, it's going to be on a long-term deal, likely 4 years, because he's not coming back for a 1 or 2 year contract. The team sees him as a potential franchise cornerstone, but the deal needs to make financial sense so the team doesn't become top-heavy with a few big contracts and lacks depth, which has been a problem in recent years. If you look at the teams doing well around the league, like the Pacers or the Thunder, their success comes from a deep bench, quality players coming in for meaningful minutes. The Warriors have been very starter-heavy for some time now, which can limit their flexibility and endurance over a long playoff run. For example, the depth players on the current free agent list don't scream playoff-ready to me. Quinton Post was exposed as a rookie in the playoffs, which is understandable, but means he's not ready to carry much of a load. Gary Payton II can be a hit or miss. Braxton Key isn't playing much, Knox isn't playing, and while Pat Spencer was impressive in the G League and brings energy, he's probably a 7 to 10-minute role player at best. Golston Santos has more upside, but is on a modest contract and hasn't fully broken through yet. Arthur, I'm curious about your thoughts on Kaminga's future with the Warriors. Do you think he wants to stay around long-term, given the tensions we've seen with coaching and how some fans and analysts perceive he's been disrespected by the staff? I honestly don't think Kaminga's going to want to commit to a long-term deal here, especially given the friction and uncertainty around his role and development. From what we've seen, he might be motivated to leave if he feels undervalued or limited. But because he's a restricted free agent, the Warriors hold the cards for now. They could match any offer sheet he signs elsewhere, but it's a tough spot. The team might sign him for now to keep him around and then explore trade options later, perhaps at the deadline next season when his full salary kicks in. That way, they maintain flexibility and control, but it's not a guarantee he'll stay long-term. That said, from a Warriors perspective, they have to be careful about the optics. Holding back a player who could become a star on another team looks bad from a PR perspective, especially if he's not happy. But they're in win-now mode, and that often trumps long-term concerns. So, with the players we expect to lose or who might walk, the next big question is, who should the Warriors realistically pursue in free agency to fill those gaps? There's a long list of potential targets, but it's important to separate who we'd want versus who the Warriors can actually afford and what fits the team system. At the very top of the list, you have marquee names like LeBron James. Obviously, we'd all want LeBron, but realistically, he's not coming to Golden State. If he opts out of his contract, he's almost certainly staying with the Lakers. Same for the other big names in the $50 million salary range. These aren't realistic targets for the Warriors given their cap situation. Brook Lopez is a really interesting target. He's 37 years old, which raises concerns, but he's durable and continues to shoot threes at a high level. His experience and ability to space the floor fits perfectly with the Warriors' offense, even if he's not an elite rim protector or rebounder. The Warriors would want to sign him at a salary that reflects his age, ideally a discount, because he might be motivated by chasing a championship. Plus, he has a connection to the Bay Area, having gone to Stanford, which might make the fit more appealing. Clint Capella is a bit more expensive and doesn't fit the Warriors system as well. He's more of a traditional big man, and while he brings rebounding and defense, the Warriors prioritize shooting and floor spacing at the 5 position. Speaking of big men, the recent signing of Steven Adams for about $13 million per year is a sign that the market for centers isn't astronomical right now, which could be a good sign for the Warriors if they want to find a similar player. Brook Lopez could be in that same ballpark, or maybe a bit less, so he becomes a more attainable target. Miles Turner is another player who's been linked to the Warriors in trade rumors. He's about $20 million per year and offers inside-outside shooting, hustle, and pick-and-roll defense. Turner would be a dream acquisition, but Indiana is clearly committed to keeping him as they aim to build a competitive team around him. So that's probably not happening. For a cheaper option, Bobby Portis could be a solid mid-level exception target. If he opts out or is available at a reasonable price, he could provide the Warriors with size, defense, and shooting. But whether the Warriors will have the mid-level exception available depends heavily on what happens with Kaminga's contract. Lower down the list are players like Nasser Little, who has a player option for $15 million. He's shown flashes against the Warriors and could be a physical, experienced wing. Then you've got Morris Wagner, who's probably staying with Orlando, and the list thins out quite a bit after that. There's a distinct lack of true center options who fit the Warriors' style, which is more offense and spacing-oriented than traditional defense-first big men. Gershon Yabusel, a French big man who impressed in the Olympics, might be an interesting rotational player, even if he's a bit undersized and doesn't bring elite rim protection. Ben Simmons is also out there, but he's a major question mark now and no longer the dream signing he might have been a few years ago. Then you have to think about the Warriors' need for 3 and D wings. They need players who can run the floor, hit open threes, and play solid defense without needing the ball in their hands all the time. A veteran wing like Otto Porter Jr. would be perfect, but it's unclear if he's interested or affordable. Arthur, What do you think about the Warriors trying to build a bench that can sustain playoff runs without sacrificing too much of the core? Because in the past, their bench depth has been a big weakness, and that's where injuries or fatigue tend to catch up with them. I agree. The Warriors need a deep bench that can consistently contribute 10 to 15 minutes of solid defense and reliable shooting. That means targeting role players who aren't necessarily stars, but have a clear skill set that complements the starters. They want guys who understand their role, take charges, hit open shots, and can switch on defense without falling apart. The Warriors' offense thrives when they have shooters spaced out and when the defense can guard multiple positions. Depth has been an Achilles heel for them, and I think they'll prioritize mid-level free agents or sign players on two-way contracts to bolster that depth. The question is whether they keep veterans like Gary Payton II, who's been great defensively, or bring in fresh legs through the G League or cheaper contracts. It's a balance between experience and youth. Another important factor is the Warriors' core. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green remain the pillars. But Curry and Klay are both aging and have had injury issues, so managing their minutes and reducing pressure on them is key. Kaminga and Poole represent the future, but they need help growing into their roles. The Warriors don't have the salary flexibility to bring in multiple max-level players, so everything has to be complementary. To wrap up this first part, the Warriors' offseason looks like a balancing act. They'll likely lose some rotation players like Kevin Looney and Braxton Key, maybe Gary Payton II if the price is too high, but the priority is signing Jonathan Kaminga to a long-term deal while maintaining cap flexibility. For new additions, Brook Lopez is a tantalizing possibility if they can get him at the right price, and the bench will be filled out with mid-level free agents and young players who fit the Warriors system. We're excited to continue this discussion with Arthur in the next segment, where we'll explore specific free agents in more detail and see who has the best chance to join the Warriors next season. Before we continue, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Dubs updates. Let's keep going. There's been a whirlwind of speculation buzzing around the NBA lately, and the latest whispers have shaken the basketball world to its core. Imagine the Golden State Warriors adding two of the league's most electrifying superstars to their roster, Giannis Antetokounmpo and Kevin Durant. Could this be the next big blockbuster move that reshapes the NBA landscape? Rumors are swirling that the Warriors might be on the verge of landing both giants, sparking excitement and intense debate among fans and analysts alike. Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek freak known for his unmatched combination of size, speed, and skill, has long been considered one of the most dominant forces in the league. His versatility on both ends of the court, ability to drive through defenders, and relentless energy make him a nightmare matchup. Adding Giannis to the Warriors' already potent lineup would be nothing short of a seismic shift. The Warriors, famous for their lethal shooting and fast-paced offense, could blend that with Giannis's physicality and inside presence to become nearly unstoppable. On the other hand, Kevin Durant, one of the most lethal scorers in NBA history, has a deep connection to Golden State, having won championships and MVP awards with the team. The idea of Durant returning to the Warriors is a tantalizing prospect. His silky, smooth shooting stroke and ability to create his own shot from anywhere on the court perfectly complement Golden State style. If Durant were reunite with Stephen Curry, Draymond Green, and now possibly Giannis, the Warriors could very well assemble a dream team for the ages. While nothing has been officially confirmed, sources close to the situation hint that Golden State's front office is actively exploring every avenue to make this happen. The salary cap implications and trade negotiations will be complex and challenging, no doubt. Yet, the Warriors' ambition and track record of pulling off bold moves keep fans hopeful. Could this be the dawn of a new dynasty, or is it just an exciting fantasy? The NBA offseason is always ripe with surprises, but this potential pairing of Giannis Antetokounmpo and Kevin Durant in Golden State might be the most tantalizing rumor yet. The basketball world is watching closely, waiting for any official word that could turn this buzz into reality. For now, the Warriors' possible double-star acquisition remains the hottest topic. fueling conversations and dreams of what the next NBA season might hold. Stay updated exclusively with the latest Dub Nation news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep getting daily updates on the Warriors. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. Your input is essential for the Dubs community. Stay tuned for the next video.